Good morning. Welcome to church. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. You can get involved by going to our chat line, and I can and will respond to your questions or comments. I appreciate you being here. And thank you all for coming too. Good morning again. How y'all? And so, Jeremiah, are you going to quit football now and learn something?
No.
You still going to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. What a risk. So a few things I want to get to before we get into our primary topic here. One is that there's a survey that I guess the Board of Education or somebody is giving out to kids 10 years. Is it 10 years and younger?
No, it's actually grades 6 through 12, but I think it includes some 10-year-olds.
Right. I remember 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just want you to hear what's in the survey. James going to tell us.
It's actually from the CDC. It's the National Youth Risk Behavior Survey. It goes out to schools for grades 6 through 12 every 2 years. It includes questions about oral sex, sexting, thoughts of suicide, cocaine, and abuse. And one of the questions is, how often did a parent or adult in your home swear at you, insult you, or put you down? How often has a parent or adult in your home hit, beat, kick, or physically hurt you in any way? How old were you when you had oral sex for the first time? Have you ever made a plan to kill yourself? Have you ever used a device to send or post naked or semi-naked pictures? This is called sexting. And many other questions along those lines.
And are the parents aware that they're doing the survey with the children? Do we know?
You know, I didn't see whether they gave parents a heads up about this for permission slips and anything. And I think that these are supposedly anonymous, but many times they're filled out on a device that you can track as the students.
Isn't that amazing? While you're out working, they're traumatizing your children, and then setting it up where they can go into your home and take your kids away from you. That's what they're doing too. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I would highly recommend that you take your children out of the public school system. Whatever sacrifice you have to make, even if you have to sell drugs. Because they are taking the soul of these kids generation after generation after generation. And that's planned by evil. And these people are carrying out the work of evil. But don't do drugs, I'm just playing. I have to clear it up in case somebody goes selling drugs. Well, you told me if I wanted to take my kids out. There's a proposal for a school voucher, meaning that you can take your money, your tax dollars that you're paying to the public school, you can take it in your hand and take your kids to whatever school you want to. Either private school, home school, Christian school. But you do have, well, it's not, we're going to be voting on that. We're trying to get on the ballot now. And so once that's passed, you can have a choice to take your kids out. Because it doesn't make sense to sacrifice the kids to that, each generation. Yes, James?
I have a question that's not necessarily related, but is G asking, in a relationship, is it possible to love someone and not trust them at the same time?
I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Don't let me forget. Another thing that happened over the week is girls can now join the Boy Scouts. You hear about that? Isn't that amazing? Girls can now join the Boy Scouts. It's so amazing. Yes, ma'am.
Like she was saying, like she was saying though, like they have Girl Scouts for that.
Right.
I don't even understand that it would be different if there wasn't some place for girls, but they have brownies, they have Girl Scouts. I mean, they have their...
They want to destroy masculinity.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
Yeah.
Destroy the Son of God. They want to stop good. And that's why we got to start fighting back. First, they allowed homosexual boys to, remember when that fight was on? and the Boy Scout was fighting off for a while that you can't be openly gay in the Boy Scout. And then eventually the Boy Scout came, and then they had openly gay Scoutmasters. And then they had transgenders. And now girls is over. Isn't that amazing? It's like evil is happening. It's just mind-blowing. Yes, ma'am, right here, Esteban.
Okay. All right. So, yes, I'm beginning to see very clearly now where they're destroying the masculinity.
Yeah.
And I guess where that comes in for me is, well, one of the ways, is that, the politicians, they're pushing through all these laws. Like I think they just removed from California the right of the parent not to have their kids vaccinated. They want to. So I think it's a law now that they must do it. And so I was thinking, I said, what about, recalling the politicians? Nobody's talking about that too much these days,
Well, there's a movement now to recall Jerry Brown.
Oh,
Yeah, it just started. So
I
you're
stand
going to hear
corrected.
more about that.
Oh, great.
Jerry Brown signed into law that California, the whole state of California, is a sanctuary state.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it just started this week.
Okay,
But you'll
and-
hear more about that.
I'd like to sneak one other thing in there.
Yes.
Okay, so, and I may have this kind of twisted up, but anyway, I'll get the point across. The point is that Trump doesn't have all of his cabinet and people approved yet with security clearances, and the reason why is because they're making sure that, I guess, the deep state or whoever is making sure
A
that
little louder.
Okay, the deep state or whoever is running the world, they're making sure that everybody that's in a position to do these kind of approvals, they're pedophiles.
Right.
And so they won't approve anybody unless they're one of them or they become a pedophile. So the president doesn't have a lot of his people in place because they're not getting their security clearances. That's
Well, it's clearly a battle. This is why I want people to understand that it has nothing to do with color. It has nothing to do with male or female. It's a battle between good and evil. It's just clearly about that. It really has nothing to do with race or anything. It's either right or wrong, and there are those who serve evil, and there are those who serve good. And the evil people look like they're winning right now because the good people are not standing up. That's the only reason. Because the good people are of God, and good can overcome evil. And so we got to start fighting back. This should not be out of control like this, especially when there are more, quote unquote, Christians in America than non-Christians. And if there are more Christians, why are we losing the battle? Letting the children get corrupt, just all kinds of things. The lawmakers are breaking the law. You know what I'm saying? And then they're voting in over and over and over again. And they're breaking the law. They're like 80 years in politics breaking the law. That has to stop. It doesn't make sense to me. And it's just one thing after another one. Another quick thing is, you know how they started this thing about gender change or something like that? If a girl feels like a boy, she can now have the body parts take off and attach some guy to her. And if a guy feels like a girl, he can have the boy part taken off and attach a girl to him. Anybody heard about that? Everybody know. Where there are these people who have done the surgery, they are regretting it. And now they want to come back to being a boy and a girl, but they can't find the parts. Somebody threw the parts away. Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. It's not amazing.
They forgot to freeze the parts. Can you imagine being stuck and now you realize you're a boy or you're a girl and now you got the wrong parts on? What do you do? Seem just like kill yourself. Because that's what Satan does. If you notice, whenever you do something bad, like, and you realize, wow, that was so crazy, and then you start feeling guilty, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And Satan like, kill yourself. You might well die. And you're like, oh, that doesn't sound that bad. But I'm sure you're telling those folks to kill yourself. Because that's a horrible thing. But that's going on too. And then Harvey Weinstein, you heard about him? Yeah. How many people believe that he wanted to do if what they are saying about him is true, that he raped, what did he do? Harass women and have sex with all those women. Do you think that's something he wanted to do?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's hear Raymond say yes on the mic, so we'll have this on the record.
Personally, I don't.
You think that's something he wanted to do?
Yes.
And why do you think he wanted to do that?
Because I don't believe. Because that's how I believe. That's how a man like him was raised. You're dealing with You're dealing with somebody who looks like somebody out of a longshoreman union. I'm familiar with that.
Have you ever done something that you couldn't believe you did, and then you end up doing it again? You're like, wow, how did I do this? And it was wrong?
Okay. He may.
Have you?
Huh? Say again?
Have you ever done something that you regretted, and then you said, I would never do that again, especially knowing it's going to destroy your life, your career, and everything, and then you end up doing it again? Have you ever done anything like that?
Maybe a couple of dozen times. At least I tried to keep out of everybody's way when I do it.
And so that's a yes then, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so why do you think, and I'm not justifying what he did at all, whatever the law is, you need to be punished or whatever that is, but I want to use this as a teaching moment, is that there is no way that man woke up in the morning after building a career, making buku money, getting married, having children, and being well known, he woke up and said, you know what, I think I'll just go out and mess up everything I've done, destroy my entire life. And the reason I want to bring this home, because you can take the mic now, I want you to know, I want you to pay attention to yourself, and you'll see what's driving you, and that will help you to understand what drove this man. So you can start overcoming it. And so again, I don't know what happened with them. And then my question is, if those women knew that he was doing that, why was becoming a star more important than getting away from the man? What was driving them? Why was that so important that, and it sounds like Hillary and everybody else might have known about it, nobody said a word. Because the guy had a lot of money and power and could help them, and they went along with it. What made them go along with it? You know what I'm saying? It's so much to learn from this, and I don't want you to get caught up with all the emotions and overreaction to the situation that you don't be still and know what's going on. You can really see what's going on. It's so amazing to stand still while everybody else hooping and hollering and running and carrying on and see what's going on. It enhances your life, and also it causes you to be able to help others. But if you caught up with the children of the lie carrying on about it, you're not going to learn anything. Yes, ma'am.
Is that the man that Obama's sending his daughter to intern for?
Yeah. She interned for Obama's daughter.
And he's sending his daughter knowing that he did this stuff.
Well, I can't just say he knew, but everybody else in their mama knew, so I can't believe he did not know.
Yeah, and he just sent his 18-year-old daughter to him.
I used to work in that world. I used to work as a union organizer, which helped me be in a lot of those parties, I mean, a lot of those folks. And I have to tell you, when I was working in that world, they cared less about morality. It was about having all the money you could get, being as famous as possible, building your career, having sex with everybody and their mama, being important. They don't care about morality. That's why when they attack the Christians, it's a false attack, because they don't care about morality at all. That's the last thing they care about. And that's why when there are people get in trouble, they defend it or not say anything. But when it's a Christian who's doing it, they're all over the Christian. So don't believe them, they're liars. But you got to have a little space so you can learn from it. All right? You got to pay attention to what's going on. And then I have my biblical question for this week. And it's a good one. It's a doozy. James, tell them what my biblical question is. I can't wait for you to hear this one. Every week I do like a biblical question thing. And this occurred to me. I'm like, wow, that's something else. That's my biblical question. What is it, James?
Was Jesus resurrected after he died, or was he resurrected before he died?
You heard that Jesus, he rose, right? He died and he was resurrected, right? And so my question is, did Jesus die and then he was resurrected, or was he resurrected and then he died? Interesting question. Isn't that an interesting question? I asked the Bible go to about it. And he's like, of course he died and then he was resurrected. But anybody, it's a biblical question, so it's for the whole week. Anybody want to comment on that? Yes, Raymond. Are you looking it up now?
Yeah. I have an idea of what it is, but I just want to make sure.
Okay. So did he die and then he was resurrected, or was he resurrected and then he died?
I believe it was resurrected after he died, because if he haven't died, he would not have conquered death.
Amazing. So you believe he was resurrected after he died?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask the young man behind you. Do you know?
Do I know? I share his sentiment. So
And what's that?
I believe that he was resurrected after he died.
Oh,
I think
okay.
It was part of the grand scheme of things, and so that's my personal belief.
And why do you believe that?
I think part of it has to do with what we're taught as children, and just years and years of religious upbringing,
Right.
but also the personal belief that in order for him to help us all, right, he would have had to have passed away, and he was a Holy Spirit. He is the Holy Spirit, so he passed away for our sins. That's what I believe.
Right.
And
And you
that's-
believe that because you've been taught that?
I believe because I was taught it, and I think part of it has to do with because it's instilled in my brain, right? So you can't wipe away what you've been taught since a child,
Right.
and
That's
what the
true.
media tells you, right? But that's my belief, and it's hard to sway away from that,
Right.
Yeah.
Is this your first time here?
Yes, my mother and my first time here.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah.
How did you hear about us?
Roy Masters told us to come.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
We met Christina. She comes here.
Chandler,
yeah.
Christina
And
Chandler.
she said for me, she says hi to you.
Hi.
Yeah.
What's your name?
My name's Anthony, Alicia.
Oh, okay. Good. I'm glad you guys are here.
Thank you.
One more person. Who? Right here.
I don't. Sorry, but I don't even understand the question.
No,
How can you
well,
say
yours
he
out of
died
question.
after he was resurrected? He resurrected, went to heaven. You can't die when you go to heaven. I don't get the question at all.
What is the question?
Did he die before he was resurrected, or did he die after he was resurrected?
Right.
Well, if he was resurrected and went to heaven, how could he die? So I don't get the question at all. Number one. Number two.
Did you know you're married to a non-believer?
No, but I'm being honest. I mean,
No, I love that. Yeah,
I want to clarify.
Right.
The other part is that I was taught as a Catholic. I think in one of the things you recite during the Mass is he died, descended into hell, and after the third day he rose again according to the Scriptures. I think is how the thing in church goes.
Right.
And so descending into hell sounds like dying to me in some way. So I don't get it.
Interesting. You will. Keep on living.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, isn't this a good biblical question? If nothing else, it has you thinking about it now, right? Because as the young man was saying, you never really thought about this. You've just been taught this either in church or Bible class or your parents, or you never really thought about it. You were just taught that, so you don't really think about it. And these are the things that God wants us to think on. Yes, dear.
I think he just got what you said. The words got twisted. You said, was he resurrected after he died? And you said, did he die after he was resurrected?
Well, that's part of the question too. Did Jesus die after he was resurrected, or did he die before? I mean,
Yeah.
Was Jesus resurrected
after he died.
after he died
Yeah.
or before he died?
It makes sense when it's that way, but when you say,
Yeah,
was
you
he
messed it all
died-
up.
Because because then
And
it
that's what
sounds
white
like
people do.
he can't
If you
die
notice, white people speak really fast.
I don't buy that. I don't buy it.
You know
because
how the white intellectuals speak really fast, and you don't know what they're saying.
You know, like this, like Give me that microphone. No. Is the question, did he die and then get resurrected? Or did he get resurrected and then die? Is that the question? Do I have it right? No, it's one or the other.
I'm scared to respond to you now.
Why? Because I'm talking too fast?
So here's the question: was Jesus resurrected and then he died, or did he die and then he was resurrected?
Yeah, that's what I said, Joel. So here, James.
The accuser.
False accuser.
Yes, James.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I do have somebody responding.
Okay.
Paige Rogers says, the word resurrection is a post-death word. A building cannot be physically rebuilt unless it has first been physically torn down.
Interesting. Interesting. What do you say, Frankie? You're a little Catholic/Christian.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. But you've heard this before, right? That he died and then he was resurrected.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Yes, sir. You'd like to try it. This your first time here?
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. What's your name?
Steve,
How did you hear about us, Steve?
I saw you on TV Friday talking about anger,
Ah.
and I identified so closely with you. I didn't know you were in LA, so I had to come meet you in person. So.
Oh, well, I'm glad, man.
Okay.
You have anger?
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how you became an angry person?
It goes back so far that I'm not sure. No.
You realize you're just like your mama?
Yeah.
And so maybe you became like who you were angry at.
Well, it's possible.
Yeah.
I think I got a long list of people I was angry at.
Well, that's what happens though. Once you fall away, then you become angry at everybody.
Yeah.
And everything.
Right.
You have no love once you have anger.
Right.
And so the world just get to you. And you just start hating everybody.
I did a pretty good number on the world, so.
Yeah, of course.
I think.
Are you married?
Oh, yeah.
You're married?
42 years.
Really?
Yeah.
And you have children?
2 sons.
How are they doing?
They're okay.
Yeah? They have anger too?
No.
No anger?
No.
How did they avoid that?
I married a Puerto Rican.
And you a white guy, right?
Not in the 60s.
Well, we're going to show you how to overcome that anger.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's here's a little bit of scripture that I know.
Okay.
Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father as we speak.
Right.
So he is alive. He was also, according to the theologians, 100% man and 100% God. And so I would agree that the man died, but the God didn't die. So he's resurrected. So I think his death on the cross was factual and necessary, so that we could all come here and partake of his spirit.
Okay.
And that spirit.
And who
now
told
sits at-
you that? What you were telling me? Who told you that about Jesus and what
Scripture
happened?
says he
in the
sits at
Bible.
the right
So you
hand of
read
the
that.
Father.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
We're going to show you how to overcome that anger.
Okay.
All
Good
right.
deal.
Right here.
Can I try to answer the question?
Can you try to answer?
Yeah, will you allow me? Will you allow me to? Or no?
So is this something you realize right now?
I mean, kind of.
Okay,
I mean, I
go
don't know
ahead.
if I realize it, but it seems like intellectually, I'm getting something, at least intellectually, that nobody's
okay.
touched on yet.
All right.
Well, like the way you asked the question, it made me think like spiritually he was resurrected. He was already, before he died, he was already dead to the world and alive in his Father, or whatever, however you want to say it. And that's why he was resurrected, physically after he died. So spiritually, he was already resurrected before he died.
Did Doug say what?
Yeah.
That was Doug with what? I may have to come up with a new biblical question because I got a feeling for this week. 'Cause it's too good to hold on to. Now that we're having a discussion about it. Yes, sir, right here.
Okay, so yes, he was resurrected before his physical death because hell was created for fallen angels and for humans eventually that fell. You can't go into hell dead and come out alive. So when Jesus took on the sins of all men and the world, he was separated, not really, but separated from God, and at least in the favor way. So he died a perfect death, all sin. He had to be resurrected before his physical death, because if you go into hell as a sinner, you're not coming back out. So it's a semantics thing.
But he was sent to conquer death for us.
Right, but he had to go in and come out. Because the only way to overcome death is to be life. If you're in death, you go to hell and you stay there. God does not budge on that. So he had to take on all death, all sin, and be redeemed before he actually physically died. Because he wouldn't break his own rules.
Interesting. Amazing. Now everybody looking silly. Who agreed with what he said?
That sounded good.
That sounded good. How about what James said?
I don't know what he said.
You don't know? Yes, James.
So like when he said, not my will, but your will be done, he's already dead to himself and to the world. And so he was already living, and he said, I don't speak from anything I say. Everything I do is from God, like from my Father. So he was already resurrected spiritually before he died.
Let me, since Doug went, what?
Uh-huh.
Doug, come in and let us know what you think. I sent you to judge James.
I'm just saying I didn't understand what James said at first.
Oh, I see. And you still don't?
I think I get a little bit more out of that, the last thing he said.
And what'd you get from that?
That he didn't have a pride, and so, or he didn't have any ego, so he already knew that his dad, he already knew God, everything was possible through God.
Can you imagine Jesus calling God Dad or Father? Interesting. Yes, James. Oh, okay. So here's the deal. Jesus died. Jesus was resurrected, and then he died. Because in order to overcome the darkness, you have to be delivered from the darkness. And once you're delivered from the darkness, and death is darkness, and once you're delivered from the darkness, then you're dying away from sin and from ego and from darkness, because now you have the power to overcome. So he was resurrected, then he died. And you're right, in order to conquer death, he has to have authority over it. You know what I'm saying? And so like you're going to see in your own life, once you're truly born again, you have returned to the Father, you're going to be resurrected from the darkness that's inside of you. And then the light, which is God's nature in you, will kill and destroy the ego, which is the darkness. It will destroy it. And so until that happens, you will be controlled by your ego, which is the nature of Satan. You must be born again. You wake up, and then you start to die away from your old habits. You're no longer subject to the world. You have perfect love. You have peace, because now you have the authority of the Father. You have returned to your original nature, which is the nature of God. Now you can overcome. Isn't that something? And all of my life I thought Jesus died first, but he was resurrected first, and then he died. And that's what's going to happen to you once you return to the Father. Isn't that something? Because if that was true, in your state of death right now, because sin is death, you would be already overcoming. But because you're dead to God, you don't have the authority to overcome. He has to resurrect. I know for me, when I wasn't able to overcome anything, and I was going to church, reading the Bible, hooping and hollering, paying my tithes and offerings, but I still wasn't overcoming. I wasn't overcome fear or doubt or anger or emotions and suicidal thoughts and stress. And it wasn't until he brought me out of that, allowed me to see by his light, that I started to get over all that stuff. So you must be resurrected, then you can overcome that. Does that make sense, or does it make sense? Yeah, let me take this young lady first, and then here and there. Did you have your hand?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, go ahead.
So when you put it like that, it is almost like a model for us,
Yeah.
what he did with Jesus.
Exactly.
Jesus had all the sin, and he was separated from the Father, so the Father had to, since he took it on, I guess the Father had to forgive him or resurrect him, or so that would die away or whatever. But I mean, I'm kind of getting it mixed up, but I kind of understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's like a model for us. What
Everything
God
that he
did with
did.
Jesus is a model for us.
Everything he
Like,
did was for us.
Yeah.
He did it first so that we'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ed, do you get it now? That makes sense.
I do understand.
Let Ed have the mic real fast, then I'll come to Mary.
I think when he mentioned it over there, that clarified it very quickly, and then I think you just repeated what he said.
Not really, but he's right in some of
No,
the
I'm
stuff
just
he
kidding.
said.
It was very,
But
it was
James
much
was
clearer.
right on the money about it.
Yeah, but I didn't understand the way James put
Oh,
it.
okay.
I literally didn't.
But he was right too, and because Jesus
have to have
didn't
power
it,
over death
he
in order
needed
to-
that authority over death
Yeah, that was clear.
in order to conquer.
I never thought of it that way.
Just like you need the authority over sin in you, which is death,
Right.
in order for you to overcome it.
It makes-
And the way you get that authority, he has to resurrect you, bring you out of there,
Can't do it on your own.
so that he can the power of God in you, because the kingdom of heaven is within us, and everything that takes place has to take place inwardly, not outwardly. But we're, as fallen beings, we're so outwardly about everything, and that's why the knowledge of God from the Bible has screwed us up, because we've been taught.
I don't
It
think
has
there's
really
yeah,
screwed us up.
I don't think there's any question. The way I was saying it is exactly the way I was taught.
Yes.
I was approaching it very logically.
It's the way everybody's been taught.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why...
Never thought of it that way.
That's why you don't really see power and authority coming from the Christians. Their kids are messed up, their relationships are messed up, friendships are messed up, they have fear and doubt, they're afraid of... You can give it to them. They're afraid of losing a job, they're afraid of this, they don't want to lose friendship, because they haven't been brought out of that sin nature yet. Yes, Mary?
So then Jesus was resurrected when he was baptized.
You're confusing me now.
Well, when he was baptized.
Don't ask me about baptism.
I'm saying when Jesus was baptized, remember the dove came down for him, so he was resurrected at that time, right?
I don't know. I'm just dealing with what I know right now. But interesting question. I saw, yes, sir. Oh, I saw your hand, sir. Let him have it first, and then I come. Go ahead.
I think what cleared it up for me is, as you describe it, I separate my salvation from Christ. And he said, except we experience the second birth, we will not enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
And that's
right.
That's how I hear you. You're saying the second birth is right now. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Is to partake with all of you people and celebrate the second birth. As far as his deity goes and his humanity goes, that gets a little cloudy for me, because
Don't even think
he was
about it.
man and he was God.
Forget about all that. Just take one thing at a time.
Right.
Don't let Satan take your head to try to figure out all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, it cleared up for me, because as you described it, you're describing the second birth. And the transformative power of Christ is what we take to the judgment seat, he says, my sheep hear my voice, so we need to be hearing it now.
Yes, that's right. Way in the back. Did I see your haircut?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when was Christ resurrected?
before he died.
I know, but when before?
You mean like, what do you mean like when?
Yeah, before he died, but when before he died? Like the precise minute before he died?
Oh, I see. I don't know.
He was baptized.
I'm not sure of that. It's an interesting question. Mary saying when he was baptized. Yes.
Well, just to go off of what Mary was saying, it does say that when he was baptized and the Spirit descended onto Jesus. So I was curious too, as well as, was that when it happened? Because
But I don't even know why y'all getting into all that.
I don't know.
I mean, why not let this reality sink in rather than going into your head and going to other stuff about baptism and the doves and when and all that. You want to see this first, and then what he wants you to see next, he will allow you to see that.
Okay, well then.
Because right now
that's
you're
it.
going into your ego, your intellect, and you're coming up with all the other questions, saying like, well, was it when the dove died? I don't know about no dove.
Okay, well, anyways.
I'm just glad to see
Separate.
this. You know what I'm saying? Or precise. I don't know the precise. I don't care about that at this point. I care about what this is. This is life right here, right now, what he's giving me. That makes sense?
Yeah. Okay, then.
Because all the stuff you're about to give me is just from the Bible that you've learned.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So when Mary grabbed the baptism thing and the dove, and now you locking into that, it's taking us out of La La Land.
Because she still had a point.
Yeah. That makes sense though?
Yeah.
Except now, this moment right here where he is, and live from that. And when it's time to know something else, he will let you know. And you gotta be aware, because Satan is busy too. He'll like, well, where did he die? Was it the baptism? What do you want to know all that for? Sit down.
Aside from that, separate. It's true in both ways as far as the resurrection thing, because that's the spiritual side from it, but everybody knows the physical side, which is he actually died on the cross and then was resurrected after. So that's what everybody's seeing, even though your thing is true, but everybody is seeing the other thing, which is not false though, because he did die and then resurrected. So it wasn't like, it's not like a false thing.
Whatever.
It actually happened.
That ain't gonna help you to know that though. That's amazing. Satan's busy. Joel, James, and Esteban has a radio show. And so we were back in the room after the show. So I asked them this question, about 5 guys back there. And they all said the same thing. I'm like, look like everybody's saying the same thing. Should be a hint that you're wrong. And Joel said, where 2 or 3 agree. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, may I just read this?
Yes.
Real quick. Okay, so this is Martha talking to Jesus about her brother Lazarus, who's died.
Okay.
And so Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. And Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whosoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this?
Yeah.
So that just verifies that he was already resurrected before he died.
Oh, thank you. See there? It's all in the Bible. It is there. Brenda, what do you think about, and good to see you too, what do you think about all this?
I think this is a very interesting conversation. Sort of turned around my thinking, because I was really just thinking about the definition of resurrect.
Yes.
And if you just try to look at it very specifically like that, it seems obvious that it would be that he was resurrected after he died. But I think you make a very good point.
Yeah. It's so sad, well, I guess it's sad, that we have been taught intellectually about God. And then we are so blinded by that knowledge that there's something that prevents many people from seeing the knowledge that you have about God is not helping you. You know all the right words, you know all the sayings, you can quote the Bible, you do all that. Why aren't you changing? Because the whole purpose of returning to the Father is to change. Return to your original self. But the knowledge, I guess, is so overwhelming that most people don't even question it. I guess the ego feels so good about having all this knowledge, it feels alive, that it won't let you see that intellectual knowledge is not the way to go. That's your enemy. It's not. It's like a substitute for awakening. Because there's a true belief and a false one. You can hear about God from your parents. You can read about him in the scriptures. You can hear people testify about him. And so you believe that. But that's a substitute for awaken, for revelation. It takes you away from revelation, and it pretends to be revelation. Remember, Satan made a promise that he's going to do everything that God does in order to deceive you. And so we get into this whatever conversation. Satan is there to pretend that that's the answer, because the moment you popped out of your mother's womb, somebody started teaching you. And as kids, you're not supposed to be taught in that manner, because kids know the truth. They're still connected to the source until you traumatize them with teaching. And now that your parents have taught you and thrown you away, you go to church, the preacher teaching you more Bible, more this, act like this, and do like this, and now you're hooking on to that. And God said, it's these things that we should be thinking about. The kingdom of heaven is inside of us. And we need to return to that so that we can know his voice. God is not going to talk to you in a voice. He's never going to talk to you out loud. The voices you are hearing in your head implies that you're insane. You're mentally retarded. And that's why you end up doing mentally retarded things. You know, beating up the dog, blaming others. He's not going to talk to you. Someone mentioned, he said, my children shall know my voice. His voice is a still voice. He speaks to you in stillness, not up here, all that stuff, quoted scriptures. I was watching this show I like to watch now. It's called, what's it called? I forgot. But it's about people who hurt one another. This girl had a good friend. They grew up together. They were good friends. And this girl got a boyfriend. And one day she and her boyfriend had a fight. And the boyfriend, because this girl's best friend, they were best friends, she was also friends with the boyfriend, naturally, right? And so one day, they were all hanging out, smoking pot. This is a true story. Having a good time. And the girl with the boyfriend was sitting on one side of the room, and her friend was sitting on the other side with her boyfriend, right? And because they were mad, they weren't getting along. And Satan told her, she's having sex with your boyfriend. And at first the girl was trying not to believe it, but it stuck. She is having sex with your boyfriend. And so she started giving the girl attitude, and her friend was like, why are you acting this way? And she just acting out. You know, sometimes people are mad at you because Satan told them something, and you're like, why are you acting this way? They won't even tell you. They just act out. And so, and time went by. The girl believed into the lie so much because they were talking in her head. They left the party. She went and killed her friend and buried her, tried to hide it. And after she killed her, she found out later that they were not cheating. It never happened, and now she's in prison the rest of her life. But that's what that voice in your head does. It set you up to suffer and die, to kill you and to destroy you. You should never, ever, ever listen to the voice of the devil. And only you're listening to him because you have not let go of anger, so you are connected to him and not your creator. The way to reconnect to your original state, which is the nature of God, you got to let go of the anger. You must forgive. You must be born again. And so many people listen to that voice, it's not even funny. Oh, let me tell you this. I think I want to tell you this. Does that make sense? You got to stop it and just live in the present right here. God is right here, right now. He's not over there. He's not over here. I was talking to one guy, and this is a good guy. At best that he could be good. And he joined some church, and the church has taught him that baptism is salvation or something like that. And he's like really believing it. I'm like, no. Baptism is just an outward expression of the change that's taking place on the inside. That's all it is. You've been washed clean on the inside, so you go and get baptized, and you wash it off, I guess, your physical body. But it's not the answer. The answer is inside of you, is nowhere else. Only look on the inside, not the outside. And stop listening to the voice of your father, the devil. Whatever he tells you is a lie. Whatever it is. And he's involved in telling you everything about everybody, every situation. But you got to doubt him. And stop listening to this substitute and come back to revelation, the real deal. That makes sense? Any question about that? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, I can identify with, going to work and then you're thinking stuff about people. That's not even true. It's like you built a whole story. Now it's like it's not even true.
That's right.
And then I watch those true crime stories too.
That's what it is, true crime stories.
So it's like.
They are so interesting.
Well, it was this one lady, she thought of those things too. Like they were laughing over here and she got mad. And she actually went on a rampage in wherever she worked, which was so stupid because it was like they weren't even talking about you. They weren't even thinking about you.
That's right. You can walk into a crowded room and he'll tell you, oh, everybody looking at you. Now you feel like running back out the room. And nobody paid any attention to you. They didn't even know you came in. But you got to stop listening to the deceiver. It's not going to happen until you drop your anger. It's the nature of your father. Anger is the nature of your father. Love is the nature of the father you fell away from. And love is not something you feel, taste, or touch. It's a God of light unto your feet. James, so G had a question.
Yes, he said, in a relationship, is it possible to love someone and not trust them at the same time?
Love, no. So dump the relationship. How are you going to be with someone you don't trust them? Where's the love in that? That's just a setup for a real battle. Because if you don't trust them, every time they move, you're going to think they're doing something wrong. You're going to think they're cheating. You're going to think they're lying. You're going to think things because you don't have the trust. And that's not love. So let it go, G. Put down the pot. Ask G if he's still smoking pot.
He's still smoking pot?
Any other question on it?
Yeah, actually, Sarah P. is asking, is it possible for me to have a lasting and healthy, loving relationship with a man who doesn't believe in God?
See, that's an interesting question because I don't know if he's saying that he doesn't believe or she's making that decision about him. So I don't know. I can't ask her, is he calling himself an atheist or something like that, because I don't know. I can't answer that question. Yes, Mary. You had your hand?
Oh, well, I just had a comment about, how she was saying that the girl was killed, the other girl. Well, I remember even when we were kids, and you know how kids are so silly, and my brothers and I, and we'd be sitting there and we'd be laughing and having fun. And my parents would say, stop that, you're laughing at us. That was like really crazy.
Yeah. No, our parents spent 18 years of our lives screwing us up. We literally spend the rest of their life overcoming it. And some people never overcome, which is unfortunate. Any questions about any of this? Is this all clear? All clear to everybody? Yes, sir. And then I'll come back to you.
Jesse, what's the best way I can tell the difference between God's voiceless voice or revelation and just me trying to tell me what I want to hear?
That's a really good question. First of all, there is no you telling you what you're trying to hear. That's an illusion too. You're either of your father the devil or you're of your Father God. And so the best way to know is to stay still, stay in the presence of God, and let every thought go. Just know that every thought you get, no matter how sweet it sounds, how perfect it sounds, or how bad it is, or whatever, just know it's a lie. And then you should recognize the voice of God. That's the only way you're going to know. You just got to practice doubting every thought.
Is God's voice more, should it give me comfort all the time versus if I get another thought and I'm still conflicted, I'm still confused, that would not be good from God?
God's voice will add to the peace that you've already received by entering into the kingdom of heaven. Because once you enter in, you're going to have peace, perfect peace. And in that peace, or peaceful state, his voice just gives more life to that. It just reveals stuff to you, like what we just had about the resurrection and the death, right? It just revealed that to you. And you start living from that. And when he wants you to know something else, it's revealed, but you just live by it without conversation. It's like a bright light unto your life. It really is. But you got to doubt the darkness. As long as you believe the darkness, you can't believe into the light. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And there is no you telling you anything. It's either the voice of Satan in your head or it's somebody else's head convincing you. I believe you have a lot of convincers out there now. There are people who believe that pot is good. They're like, fight you on it. Pot is health. I've been through the pot deal. It is not good. But they have been convinced that pot is good. And so you can't convince a drunk person. You have to let them suffer through it. Yes, Gerald.
I was going to say, when you wake up, is that when the peace comes, or you wake up and as you die away to your old habits?
The moment you wake up, the peace is there. And then death has happened. Your ego dies. The moment you wake up. Because as he mentioned, you're not going to enter into the kingdom of heaven with your ego. It has to die so you can enter in.
So you're not even waking up when you're still in the fallen state. It's either you're awake or you're asleep?
Right.
Oh, okay.
You're either asleep or you're awake. There's no gray area. There's no gray. You're either awake or you're asleep. And if you practice through meditation or prayer, however you want to do it, being still, and be aware of your environment, don't have an opinion about anything, you will start to see.
So you're not like, you're either kind of opening, but then they're really asleep.
Right.
But they
No, they're not kind of opening. Well, my eyes, I kind of see God. You're either awake or you're asleep.
Okay.
No in between. No, so you're not kind of waking up. I can kind of see. But those are good questions because all those are the trick that the devil plays upon you. It really is. You're either asleep or you're awake. All angry people are asleep. Now you may have glimpses along the way because you're kind of looking for the Father. You know, you want to know, you're a seeker, but you are asleep. And he tries to guide you a little bit, show you a little stuff, but you are asleep. All angry people, that's why you must overcome anger. I have no anger. The spirit is not there. He took it away and woke me up. And then you start to grow. And it happened naturally. You can't make it happen. Like we were saying the other day, a man cannot teach a man how to be a man. A woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. A woman cannot teach a girl how to be a woman. No human being can teach you. It's within. And when you return by forgiving, you start to develop in your Father's nature naturally. Because if how someone, just think about it, how do you teach someone to be a man? Oh, you're going to teach them, oh, you better learn how to work hard. That's a quality we all should have anyway, but that won't make you a man. You can work hard, and you should work hard, but it's not going to make you a man. Oh, I take care of the bills. That's not going to make you a man. And I found out that most people don't even know what a man is. On the fallen state, I asked, they have no idea. Oh, that's an interesting question. They're not thinking about the right things. Seek first the kingdom of God and his right way, and all shall be added. So to become a man or to become a woman, he's going to have to make you that way, because you can't even imagine what it is. And it happens moment by moment by moment. That's why you got to return to the Father. All right, we're out of time already. So I'm going to have to come up with a new biblical question for this week. So I got to pray. I got to be still. Brendan, is any doubt about this? Or anybody having a doubt about or question about what's been said today?
No.
Okay. How about you? This is your first time here. Any questions about or doubt about what's been said today?
No. I love dialectic. This is a dialectic. And there's something I learned a long time ago. You take what you can take and you leave the rest.
Have you forgiven your parents yet?
Oh, yeah.
You forgave them?
Yeah, I forgave myself too.
And how did you do that?
How did I forgive myself?
Yeah.
Is this on TV?
Yes.
I had an end of life moment that put me in a position to dishonor my mother or to forgive.
What does that mean, dishonor her or forgive? What happened?
She was dying.
And what happened?
End of life, she was dying. And there was a family event that was very, very difficult for me to accept. And you got me doing a testimony now. The day before, a friend of mine that I was communicating with on the internet sent me an email, and he said to me, I want you to put everything that's going on in a different perspective. And he directed me back to the cross when Jesus said, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. And that became my guiding light.
And so you forgave yourself?
Well, first I forgave the people around me.
Did you forgive your mother?
Absolutely.
And you had a chance to tell her that before she died?
We had many, many conversations that go back many decades.
Did you tell her before she died that you forgave her for what she did to you?
Well, I'm not aware that she really did anything to me.
Then what did you forgive her for then?
Because we're all sinners.
And so you forgave her for being a sinner?
Yeah, no, I didn't forgive her for being a sinner.
What did you forgive her for? You said you forgave your mother. What did you forgive her for? If you said she didn't do anything to you.
Well, I think we all do things to each other.
No, what did you forgive your mother for if she didn't do anything to you?
Specifically, what did I forgive her for?
Yes.
For being, for doing the best she could.
Did you tell her that?
You know, you're asking me to go back over 50 years, and
it doesn't take that long to know if you told her that or not.
Well, we used to have many, many, many conversations over many, many decades
Did
about
you ever say to her,
about forgiveness,
I forgive you for what you've done?
About forgiveness.
Did you ever say to her, Mama, well, white people say mother, Mother, I forgive you for what you've done to me?
Let's say I didn't do it.
So, no, not let's say it.
All right.
Did you do it or not?
No.
And why not?
Why not?
Yes.
I don't think I ever pondered the question that deep.
Yeah, that's what, I understand that.
You want me to say it now?
I understand it. Do I want you to say what?
Tell her I forgive her?
Well, it's up to you. You don't have to do it now, but you're never going to be free until you can forgive her and forgive your father so you can return to your father.
Right.
But you need to forgive her and stop pretending that you have and all that crazy talk. It's not going to get you anywhere. You're going to have to be absolutely honest with yourself and not all that mushy talk, all that pretense. It's just a bunch of crap. It's going to keep you locked in your hell. You got to get real. If you want to be free, you got to be real about it. And you got to face it and not have a false sense of compassion so you could be free. That's the only way. And all those things you're saying is just a waste of time. It's not doing anything for you at all. You just got the Bible, you got a bunch of words, but it's not going to make you free. That make sense?
Yes.
So you got to, from this point forward, Really get to know yourself and see what it is that you dislike about her. And you're right. Parents mean well. Most of them don't want to do these things. But because they were not corrected in their life, they didn't overcome, they pass it on to their children. But
And I pass it on to my children, and we're all, that's original sin.
Right. And your
It
kids,
just passes from generation to generation.
right, but you have too much knowledge. You got to let all that go. Because your knowledge is their knowledge is deceiving you. You know what I'm saying? You want wisdom. And right now, the only way you'll get wisdom, you got to let the knowledge go. And you got too much knowledge. And apologize to your boy for being weak.
Okay.
And you turn him over to, you say you're married to a Filipino?
Puerto Rican.
A Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
No, senor. You need to go and apologize to your sons for letting them down. And then you try to run away from the white woman by trying to marry a Puerto Rican, and you ran right into hell. You got to learn to deal with things. You got to face things. But you can't do it unless you face it in yourself first. That make sense?
It's a big drink of water. I'm not used to water that deep, but yeah, accept it.
Well, I hope you think about this, all right?
Yeah, I that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and I have silent...
I think you're authentic, and I think you speak from your heart, not your head.
Right.
Which is a rarity on television, for sure.
Yeah. But so what I recommend, download my silent prayer and just do it. Follow the instructions, do it. And then God will help you through all this.
Amen.
Because right now you know too much knowledge. And it's holding you back in life. And you're pretending. You got to stop pretending. It's got to be real or nothing. Because if it's not real, it's nothing. That make sense?
Spiritually, yes.
Yeah. Don't even say spiritually. Just say yes.
Okay, yes.
So I'm glad you came. Aren't you glad you came?
Yes, I am.
Will you come back again?
Yeah, I will.
All right. Anything I said that you disagree with?
No.
All right.
Plenty to think about, though.
Oh, good. And that's what I want. You to start thinking.
All right.
All right. And next time you come back, bring your sons.
Well, they work on Sundays, so
okay.
that would be
We'll
hard.
bring them to the men's meeting the first Thursday of the month.
Okay.
At 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Right here, the glasses. I'm glad you came, man.
Thank you.
Anything I've said you disagree with?
Thinking back, for the most part, I agree with about 95% of what you said.
Right.
There's something I personally disagree with.
Okay, what was that?
Earlier, you touched on the Boy Scouts of America, and I can see things from neutral points of view, and you touched on having people of different persuasions coming into it, and I understand where you're getting at. When I was a kid, I was part of the Boy Scouts. I see it as diversity. Maybe coming from a younger generation.
Right.
I see it.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I see it as diversity. I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. I think it's good to interact with people of all different walks and lives. And I love the fact that it's diverse here. You've got African Americans, you've got Caucasian people. My mother and I are of Mexican American descent. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think some people may perceive it to be bad because of what they've seen in the media. But I treat people the way I want to be treated, right? And I think I've gotten pretty far.
Why would you want to mix the darkness with the light?
Well, see, again, that boils down to us having a different type of perspective.
Are
It's
you a
difference
Christian?
Of opinion. Am I a Christian? I have Christian beliefs. I'm not a religious person, per se.
Are you a Christian?
Yeah, I believe I am.
Are you a Christian?
I believe I am, yes.
You're not sure?
No, I am. I am answering your question.
No.
But
So you
again,
say,
but
yes,
I don't
am a
want.
Christian?
Yeah, but let me prove my point. I don't necessarily believe that people should be segregated. I think there's been a lot of segregation in this country, and I believe as long as the intent is good, and people may disagree with me, as long as the intent is good and there is no harm and there's no evil coming towards children or anybody for that matter, I believe it's a good thing. The world is changing. A lot of things are changing right
Well,
now.
values don't change. The principles of God don't change just because the world is changing.
Oh, that's true. But again, going back to my personal belief, you asked me a specific question. Do you
Right.
disagree with me?
Yeah.
And I do disagree with you. And that's fine. We can have a
Yeah,
difference
that's right.
of
No,
opinion.
I'm
right?
happy about it.
So so when somebody comes and they have, I understand your point of view, it bothers me. Because
Why does it bother you
it
if
bothers
they have
me-
the right to have a disagreement?
it bothers me in a sense because that's kind of an old school point of view.
Oh.
That's my
But
personal
you
belief.
still shouldn't be bothered if you allow that person to have their freedom to disagree. You shouldn't be
You're
bothered
right.
by it at
You're
all.
right. I
I'm
just
not
see.
bothered by it at all with anyone who disagrees with me.
Okay.
No one. You know, I'm not bothered by it because that's an individual who has the right to think what they want to
Exactly.
think and be the way. You know what I'm saying?
And again, I love everything that I've learned here today, and I love hearing different points of view.
Right.
And I enjoyed it.
So you okay with the girls being in the Boy Scout as well?
As long as as long as the roles are reversed, the boys should be able to go into the Girl Scouts. Not necessarily, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will, right? That's just my personal belief. I think it's good all around.
What's the purpose of girls being a part of the Boy Scout? What's the purpose of that?
I believe it's unity. I believe it's the ability.
Unity?
Yeah.
What kind of unity?
I believe it's unity. It's getting rid of gender roles. Gender roles. So again, people
Be
may
quiet,
have different
Raymond.
point of view. I don't know. I
sound
don't
like a
know.
bull.
But that's my personal belief, and
Right, I
I
understand, man.
think it's gonna be better. It'll
Did you
continue
go to
get
college?
better. Yes, I did.
Which one?
I just went to community college for a couple of years, and like I said, I've been lucky enough where I've treated people well, and I've
Right.
done well in business, and not necessarily because of my education, but I think because I treat people the way I want to be treated, and
Right.
that's just my belief. So
So you live in L.A.?
yeah.
Next Sunday, they want to have you on their radio show. So
Who's
you
that?
are a millennial, right?
I don't know if I'd be considered one, would I?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right there. How old are you?
35.
Yeah, you're right there, right, Jay? Yeah, you're right there. So all three of these guys are millennials, and he's a Mexican, so you'll be safe. This black one, I don't know, and the
See-
white one. Will you come on their show next Sunday?
I'm actually going to be out of town next weekend, but the weekend after that, I'm.
Oh, okay.
And I'd like to come back because I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed
Please
it.
come back.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you come back.
Yeah.
This is what church is about.
Yeah.
To do this. So, anything else that you disagree
No,
with?
I enjoyed it. It's the first time I've actually been. I don't know if this is considered a church or a religious gathering.
I'm sorry?
Is this considered a church or a religious gathering?
Both.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
the first time I've been to one in English outside of like Roy Masters. So.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
Wow.
different. I liked it.
Well, I'm glad you came.
I enjoyed
man. So, what do you think about what your son said? Tell me your name again.
Alicia.
Alicia.
Yes. Oh, a little bit. Okay. Yes, Alicia.
Well, I'm glad you came. You agree with your son?
No.
Yeah.
I was raised
I
very.
saw you doing this.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. You ain't doing.
I was raised different and in different era, and I was in a boarding school, in a Catholic school, and my brothers, I have 3 brothers, they were separated in a boarding school. Girls with girls,
Right.
boys with boys.
Yeah.
We never saw each
And
other.
the gays with the gays.
Right. And I didn't think it was going to be this way now that
Right.
you mentioned.
Yeah.
So-
It shouldn't be.
I don't think it should be.
It's not even good for the kids that this should happen to them at such an early age because they don't understand what's going on.
Right.
And if when you mix the darkness with the light of the kids, it's going to put their light out. They
Right.
will be traumatized.
Right. And also I believe in individuality, each one,
Right. That's right.
girls and boys.
Are there any, do you have any questions for me? Anything you agree or disagree with?
I am trying to convince my adult daughter to come to,
Oh,
to
good.
these meetings.
Okay.
And
Well, tell her I said come.
I will.
Make sure you invite your sister.
Yeah, they live in Indio.
We live in far by Palm Springs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's no traffic on Sunday morning, right?
I'll ask, yeah.
It was good when I came in the morning. I left the house Indio at 6 a.m. So it was a
Yeah.
good ride.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
Well, I'm happy. I'm grateful that that they told me, Christina told me about
Yeah.
you.
Make sure you guys come back too. We're here every Sunday. The first Thursday of the month, we have men's meetings only at 7. And then the third Thursday night, which is this coming Thursday, at 7 is for ladies only. And they are really good. Very, very good.
I'm sorry, when is the women's
This
meeting?
Thursday night, third Thursday night of the
Third
month.
Thursday, okay.
Yeah, so make sure you come.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all
Thank
for tuning in and all that. I'm sorry we went over there, but not really sorry. But we need your financial support, your donations, your tithe and offering. Got a lot of work to do. Check out the radio show and get involved. Excuse me, get involved. And thank you all for coming, all right? I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.